my name is Dakoba, and welcome back to Satisfactory. We are flying into our base, up from checking on our coal power plant up there at the top of the hill. Everything seems to be running smoothly, and I have just spotted another Mercer sphere on these rocks behind my base. So let's pop in there, grab a barrel nut while we're at it, grab this Mercer sphere.
The effigy has no song, only echoes, but is part of a river. Why does the effigy avoid the windows?
Attention! Your brain's operations are outside typical parameters. Time spent daydreaming will be deducted from your sustenance budget.
Alright, now we have two main tasks today. First, we want to build some modular frames. We also want to clean up our base. It's nice to see that smooth line for power production, but our consumption line's still a little bit wobbly, so we want to clean that up and make that a little bit more efficient. We also want to clean up our base. We've been putting that off for long enough. I think it's time for us to invest in making it a little bit nicer, cleaning it up, giving it a fresh coat of paint and all of that. In order to do that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the remaining tier 2 milestones, the ones we skipped over. One of those is the resource sync bonus program. So let's run around and gather up the rest of what we need for this milestone. Looks like it's just some wire. And while we do that, I'll talk a little bit about our plan for today. Because in addition to unlocking this milestone, we actually need to we actually need to generate some awesome tickets or awesome coupons as well. And that requires us to sync some components. Now, it just so happens that we actually have a convenient way to do that.
Milestone reached. You have been given access to the anti-waste effort for stress testing of materials on Exoplanet's bonus program, also known as Awesome. Your awesome input allows Fixit to comprehend our amazing universe more clearly. In appreciation of this, we have generously set up an internal, closed economy with exclusive rewards and currency. Directing parts of varying quantity and complexity into the Awesome Resource Sync will grant Fixit coupons. These coupons can be redeemed in the Awesome Shop for highly desirable items such as new foundations, walls, factory attachments, cosmetics, parts, and more. Next time you have additional resources, just remember to go that extra kilometer. Go awesome.
All right. Now, how we are going to generate those coupons is, well, first let's go ahead and see if we can make friends with this lizard doggo here, who's just sort of wandered into our base. Go ahead and leave some there. Oh, yep, okay. Very nice. We'll name this one Honey. Alright, now that we have the Awesome Shop unlocked, we can go ahead and drop down an Awesome Shop terminal here in order to take a look at what is available, what's on offer for us. So we could, if we're able to generate some coupons, we'll be able to get a factory cart, a boombox, a number of other things here. Now, in order to generate those coupons, we have a couple of options. What we'll end up doing for the most part is whenever we build a new factory or expand our production lines, we'll set up overflows that will take any excess materials we're producing and sync them for extra points. However, we aren't generating a ton of excess materials yet. We need to greatly increase our production in order to do that. And so one of the things we may do is take some of these spare components we have, like some of the smart plating. We can't really use this, and we're quite a while from being able to complete the milestone, so I'm sure that we'll be able to satisfy those needs over time, but we can take the ones we built for now and use those as a start. We can also create a dedicated production line in order to help generate some tickets. Now, up here on the upper deck, we're using most of our iron. We have a little bit to spare, and I actually have a plan for that thanks to a comment from a viewer. But down here, we are actually only using 60 of the 120 iron that our iron miner is producing. And that's going into our plates, rods, and screws. The rest we can repurpose, and we have this lovely space over here. So we're going to start off today by clearing this out and setting up a dedicated factory. But let's go ahead and take a look at what a awesome sink will require. It looks like it takes some components that we already have in place. So let's go ahead and just drop one down and take a look at it. Hook up some power, and then we'll also set up a storage container, and we can go ahead and drop in our smart plating. This will just give us a nice start towards some coupons. We'll also be able to turn some of our alien remains that we found and turn them into DNA in order to sync those for some additional points. You can see we're starting to tick up on some coupons already. Let's go ahead and drop in our alien DNA capsules as well. All right, we're starting to get some coupons. So we're aiming for 31. We're well on our way for that. Now, when it comes to deciding how we want to generate coupons, there are a couple of ways that we can do that. And what I'm going to be doing is looking at the wiki. So, all right, so I've pulled this up. This is under the Awesome Sync article there. And let's go ahead and get a calculator going as well, so we are able to calculate this more efficiently. So now we have 60 iron ore that we are mining and we have in excess. So if we take that 60 iron ore and sink it, then that is worth 1 point apiece, and that will give us 60 points. You can also see there's a number of things that can't be sunk. If we were to smelt that iron ore into ingots, then that would give us 60 iron ingots, and those are worth 2 points apiece. That gives us 120 as an option. If we were then to craft those iron rods, which again is a 1-to-1 ratio, we would get 4 points apiece, and that gets us up to 240. And you can see that each processing step tends to double the point value of the item. So iron rods going into screws, the screws are only worth 2, but you get 4 screws per iron rod. So that gives us a total of 8 points per iron ingot compared to 4 for the iron rods. So once again, each production step does that. And so in that case, we would be getting 480 points. We're starting to get to a good point. Now, there is another thing that determines value, and that is the rarity of the materials. So iron ore is worth 1 point, but copper ore is worth 3 points, and copper ingots are worth 6, and so on. So you can see that not only increasing the number of production steps, but also increasing the rarity. And this is where the trick we're going to use comes in, because we could continue to increase the complexity of our production. We could go all the way down to smart plating, which is worth 520 points apiece. 60 iron ore is almost exactly enough to make 2 smart plating a minute. So that would be 1,040 points if we were to dedicate the iron ore for this factory and do all the necessary production steps. That's quite a bit better than the simple ones we're doing. But there is something that's even better still, and that is with that is going to be making use of the iron wire recipe, which is one of the ones we picked up. So if we come over here and we drop down a constructor, and take a look at that iron wire recipe, we can see that 5 iron ingots turns into 9 wire. So if we go back to our wiki and say that we have 60 wire, that's 9 over 5. That's our ratio, 1.8. We multiply that times our 60 iron ingots, we'd be getting 108 wire. Now, a wire is only worth 6 points, so that's worth 20. So we can multiply that by 6. We can see that's only 648. However, if we look a little further down, you can see that cable is worth 24 points, and cable takes 2 wire. So if we take that 108 wire and we divide that by 2, that'll give us 54. And if we multiply that by 24, then we have 1,296. And I believe that is the most that we can get out of iron at the current moment. I think that is the most efficient way to generate points with 60 iron. Let's go ahead and jump into this build. All right, and that is a awesome sink and points factory all complete. Let's go through it. We're starting off by taking some spare iron ore from this miner back here and sending that into a bank of 3 new smelters. Now we needed 3 smelters because we actually had a bit over 60 iron ingots. If we look at these machines up here, we have our first one taking 30 iron ingots per minute, so that's using 30 ore. This one is only taking 15. You can see I've tuned this smelter to produce 15 as well. And this machine making screws is only taking 12.5. So this one's also taking 12.5 ore per minute. That means that we are actually, instead of using 60 in this half of the plant, we're actually using 57.5 ore. That means we have 62.5 ore to work with. Now, since we're making iron wire, and if we take a look at the iron wire recipe, that takes 12.5 ingots per minute. And if we do some quick math here in our fix-it calculator, if we have the 62.5 ingots and we divide that into 5 machines, or into 12.5 per minute, then that means that 5 constructors making iron wire will fully consume it. So this will make full use of our 120 ore per minute if we set up 5 constructors. Unfortunately, 62.5 ingots per minute is more than can be made by 2 smelters running at 30 a minute each. So we have 3 smelters, 2 of them running at 21 and 1 of them running at 20.5 for a total of 62.5 ingots per minute being produced. Now, because we're working with over 60 ingots a minute, that also means we need to have Mark II belts through here. And so those ingots are then being sent into 5 constructors producing wire. Now, the wire to cable recipe can take as many as 60 wire per minute. In this case, we're producing 112.5 wire per minute. So I could have done this with 2 constructors, but I find that I quite like the look of constructors when they're chained together like this. So I went ahead and just set up a cable constructor for each wire constructor and then merged the outputs of those at the end. Those are then being sent into the awesome sink to gain us some points, and this container is for drop off. So if we want to drop off, for example, some iron ore that we may have picked up, we can go ahead and do that, and that will just dump those points for us as we're able. And if we take a look at our awesome sink, you can see that we are making a fair few points, and we are up to 34 coupons, which is more than we had estimated we would need. And if we look at our power graph, it is relatively stable. We've actually leveled it out quite a lot by doing this. Unfortunately, the awesome sink itself is going to fluctuate. It's only on while an item is flowing in. So once this iron ore, for example, is gone, then these cables aren't quite filling a belt line, which means that there will be some flickering of the awesome sink, but that is just the cost of doing business with an awesome sink. All right, here in the awesome shop, let's go ahead and go through management. Now, I quite like the wall outlet. That is something that I want to pick up, so I'll add that to the cart. The pipeline floor hole and the conveyor lift floor hole are appealing to me. So is the conveyor lift ceiling and wall mounts. I think I'm going to hold off on those for now. We'll grab those later. There's nothing in organization that we can get right now. I mean, we can get the skins for our personal storage box, but those are not highly profitable. We can go ahead and get concrete and asphalt foundations. That is fantastic. Those will be excellent. And I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the copper paint finish as well. I'm curious to see how that looks. Within foundations, I really like the look of the stairs, but we'll hold off and wait to make sure we have enough tickets. Now, within walls, there's quite a lot that I want to do. So we'll go ahead and grab... You know what? I think we can actually wait on walls as well. I think the ramp wall is probably the thing I want most out of there. But let's hold off and let's take a look at architecture. Now, I do like the idea of getting a set of catwalks and railings, and I like either the concrete pillar or the metal pillar set. We'll take the concrete pillar set for now. And then we've got metal barriers, road barriers, and construction fences. Let's go ahead and grab ladders. And then obviously we need a coffee cup. But I don't think we're going to spend any money on parts. What we might do, though, is go ahead and pick up a boombox. And then I like the absolute fix-it boombox tape. That puts us at 31 tickets. We have 34. Let's go ahead and buy all that.
In the early days of the Save the Day program, when I was still in alpha, some of the employees would store their personal musical projects on my servers. In a way, this was the music I was conceived to. Enjoy.
All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at our next milestone, which is going to be jump pads. This takes rotors, wire cabling. This takes rotors, cabling, and iron sheets. Fortunately, we have all of those. We don't have quite enough cabling, so let's pop down and grab some. Let's get this milestone sent away.
Milestone reached. The Fix-It jump pad combines high technology and innovation for optimized factory traversal and an ideal travel experience. Clarification. Ideal travel experience not guaranteed, individual results may vary. Pioneers are responsible for all workplace accidents resulting from jump pad usage.
All right, let's give this one a try. Perfect. That is the ideal way to get around this particular factory. All right, the last thing before we decorate our factory is going to be to pick out a color scheme. Oh, we have the copper finish. Let's go ahead and see. How does that look on the MAM? The lighting at dawn is a little tricky, so that's tripping me up just a little bit, but I like it. Don't think I want to do a whole factory in there, at least not this whole factory, but we'll leave the hub in it for now and just sort of admire it throughout the day and see what we think of it. Oh, can we put it on our biomass burners over here too? Beautiful. It's much more red, but I don't know how much of that is just the morning light versus it actually being very red. Let's go ahead and wait until daylight, and then we can take another look at it as well as pick out colors for our factory when we have a little bit more neutral lighting. While we wait for neutral light to return so we can settle on a color scheme for our factory, let's take another look at the MAM, see if there's anything else we can pick up. Right, under alien megafauna, we actually have everything we need for a nutritional inhaler. We need to craft up some alien protein there, but we have some alien parts, so we can go ahead and do that easily enough.
Research completed. The protein inhaler can restore health in the eventuality that you have been carelessly damaging Fix-It property.
Fantastic. That is excellent. I'm glad we were able to find that. I was thinking, so there's actually 3 recipes for the inhaler. You can get one of them from there. Another one is from the nutrients tree, which we have, but we had been using our pipes, and we don't have enough modular frames. That's the other thing we were waiting on. But that uses all 3 of our base ingredients, our mushrooms, our barrel nuts, and our pale berries. And so that is another way we can craft up the inhalers. And then the third one is from mycelia, and that's hidden behind stators, which we don't have yet. That's a steel recipe. So for now, I think we are just going to have to stick with using the alien protein, but that's actually probably the cheapest of the 3 recipes, and all of the inhalers are the same, so I am fine with that. I do want to look at the gas mask while we are here, so that's in the mycelia tree, and that will take 50 fabric. All right, and with that fabric sorted, we can go back into mycelia and take a look at the gas mask and gas mask filters.
Research completed. Gas mask and filter unlocked. Mycelia fabric is highly absorbent, making it more effective at toxic gas filtration than the standard issue Pioneer helmet. A pleasant pine scent is included. Gas filters require regular replacement for optimal safety.
All right, and there we have a gas mask filter added to the helmet. That's pretty cool how it connects on like that, and also modifies the front of the helmet. If we take it off here, that to that. Nice animation too. Very cool. All right, in addition to getting a gas mask, now that we have some neutral lighting again, we can take a look at our base, and I have been playing around. I think I'm going to go with this green color. I really like the green and white color for building in this game. I'm not sure why, but I always seem to default back to it, and I don't think this playthrough is going to be any different. So we will run around and paint up our base. So in addition to changing the paint, we can also go into our materials tab and modify our foundations. So I think it is time for us to clean up our factory. Let's get into it. Right, and that is a factory all redecorated. There is one more thing I want to do. All right, now here in our rotor factory, we are consuming 45 iron ingots a minute, but we're actually producing 60 iron ingots a minute, so we have a little bit of excess here. And a commenter, Darkheart Plays, suggested that we take that extra 15 a minute and use it to set up an additional production line to make iron rebar for our rebar gun. While we were out, we managed to get some fused modular frames and some modular frames, which is great. We're up to 23 of those. That's not going to be nearly enough. And fused modular frames aren't particularly useful to us at this stage of the game, but what we might do with them is sink them. We could either sink them or hold on to them in case they open up a drop pod for us, but I am inclined to sink them and get some points out of them. Another quick change I want to make is add another jump pad over to this side of the base. Mission altitude there. On. Yep. Let's take a look at the awesome shot. All right. One of the things I definitely want to pick up is the Joel Synthholm boombox tape. I love that music. It's some of my favorite music in the game. I think we can finally afford our floor holes, and we will eventually get our clean pipeline and pipeline wall attachments as well. we're going to hold off on those for just a minute. And I think we'll go ahead and grab the unfinished paint look. Concrete wall. Foundations, we can probably justify picking up the stairs and double ramps. Walls, we can go ahead and get door walls, ramp walls, and where are we at? And under architecture, I think we're okay for now. We'll continue to add in more things as we go, but that will give us a nice little collection of things.
A fix-it engineer who specialized in robotics disappeared one day, leaving behind a mixtape and a highly advanced but inoperable robot. It would wake up whenever it was alone and play the mixtape, sending copies to fix-it employees under the name Joel Anderson. The robot eventually escaped with a machete, a factory cart, and a plastic bag filled with peach iced tea. I always admired that robot, so I kept the music.
Alright, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into our next build, which is going to be a modular frame factory over on that plateau over there. Alright, and that is a modular frame factory all complete. You can see we have some modular frames coming down the line now, and everything is working perfectly. We are once again using manifolds, and all the machines have been tuned correctly, so there may be a few minutes while they build up a backlog of the necessary items, but eventually this should be running perfectly efficiently, and we are starting to get a nice stockpile of these modular frames. You'll notice a blue light on this building. We are overclocking this. We're producing 5 modular frames a minute, which is exactly enough to use the 120 ore that we're drawing. We're taking that ore and sending it into 4 smelters, each at 100% clock speed to produce 120 iron ingots, which are then going into a series of constructors. 2 constructors are making iron rods. We need a total of 30 a minute, so 2 constructors at 100% clock speed gets us there perfectly. Next up, we need screws, and we need a total of 90 a minute. So I think I may not have... Yes, we need to reduce one of these to... reduce both of these machines to 45% clock speed in order to make sure we're getting exactly the 90 screws a minute that we need. Those screws are being sent into a couple of assemblers along with some iron plates, which we're making in these machines. Now we need 45 iron plates a minute, so we have 3 machines producing 15 each, and the iron plates and the screws are coming into these machines, which are making reinforced iron plates. Now these should both, we can make this a little bit more efficient if we set both of these to 75% speed instead of 1 to 100 and 1 to 50. 75, there we go. There we go. And so that should be perfectly providing the 7.5 reinforced iron plates a minute that we need, as well as the 30 iron rods we need to produce our 5 modular frames per minute. Now I've done a little bit of decorating here. You can see I've gone ahead and put down a concrete foundation. I decided to use the copper finish for all of the machines in the factory. I wanted to play with that, see what I think of it. It's a little dark for my taste, I think, but I like it on the machines. When I first started putting down walls, I didn't care for it on the walls, so I decided to go with a white and green set of walls. But anyways, this is a factory all complete, and there is still a little bit more cleanup to do and decorating to do. I haven't done anything on the outside yet. I think we can actually go ahead and set up our support pillars on the corners, though. And so we can play around with this a little bit. For example, we can keep our plain white finish on there, or we can switch to our copper finish, paint that all along there, and see what we think of that. And then if we decide we don't like that, we can always switch it, for example, over to the concrete wall. And then we could even paint the concrete wall different colors, or... So I think I'm going to leave these with just the concrete walls for now, but let me know what you think down in the comments. And we're starting to build up a nice stockpile of modular frames. Now we're going to need a lot of modular frames because many of the technologies we want to play with next are locked behind those. So we're going to take a few minutes and do a little bit of exploring while we build up that stockpile. Specifically, we're going to be heading out looking for Mercer spheres, because Mercer spheres are a critical component to producing the dimensional depot, which is something I want to play with in our next episode, but we are all out of the requisite Mercer spheres. So let's head out and see if we can't track down some more, try out our new gas mask, and then we'll come on back and see what the modular frames unlock for us. All right, now since we're going to be going out hunting some specific items in the Mercer spheres, I want to do a little bit of prep work before we head out. The first thing I want to do is take a look at our hub and look at the enhanced asset security milestone. Like we don't quite have. All right, so we can get this milestone sent away, and that will unlock the Xeno Basher for us.
Milestone reached. The Xeno Basher is a direct upgrade from the Xeno Zapper. In the words of the engineer that first developed this tool, quote, "The Zapper kind of electrocutes things, the Basher straight up smacks stuff, while also electrocuting them," unquote. It is beneficial during encounters with aggressive fauna, and has been tested thoroughly. The engineer's noble sacrifice for Xeno research will not be forgotten, whoever they were.
Alright, the other thing I wanted to make is an object scanner, so that we can track. I believe we have Xeno Zapper tracking. So it is set to pale berries. Mercer sphere track. We can now track Mercer spheres whenever, every so often. We can take that out, see if we're in range of one. All right, now while we go exploring, I want to talk to you guys a little bit and get some feedback from you. So I'd love to get some comments from you guys on this subject. And that is, what do you guys want to see out of this series? I want to play Satisfactory in a way that is enjoyable for you guys as audience and as a community engaging in this game with me. because that's an important part of the Satisfactory gameplay experience for me. You know, there's many domains of this game. There's the factory construction and the building, decoration, and the artistic side of things. There's also the combat and exploration, but then there's also the social side of things and engaging with the community, both in game and playing with friends, but also on social media and talking about and learning about the game, experience it through the lens of other players, whether that's through YouTube or Reddit or whatever community we use. And that really is what drives the question. So if there's something specific you would like to see in this series and see a focus on the series, I'd love to hear from you on that. As far as my goals go, I want to move through the game in a balanced but also complete way. I do want to explore every facet of the game. So for example, right now I have a clear plan for where we're going to be going in the very near future. And that is that I want to explore the steel processing side of things. I want to build a basic steel factory, get steel pipes and steel beams unlocked, and then use that for Logistics Mark III and the dimensional depots. That's definitely the next thing I'm going to be doing. But beyond that, the game is wide open. Ultimately, I want this to be a series that helps build the Satisfactory community in a positive way. And in order to do that, I'd love to hear from you guys in terms of what you would like to see and where you want to see the time spent. I've discovered that I have the most fun doing a balanced approach, taking a little bit of time in each episode to do some exploring as we're doing here, but also taking some time to build a factory and then putting in the time to make it look nice and look like it's a part of the world, and to try new things with it. And sometimes those things don't always work. You know, I usually leave it in the world as a learning experience, as something that I can come back to later, including some of the designs that I've ended up loving the most and being the most proud of. I'm sure many of you may have seen the time-lapse series I did in Update 8 of Early Access. And the very first part of that time-lapse series, the early game factory, where it was on raised platforms with 1 meter high orange walls around it. And at first, when it was just the platforms, I really didn't like the way that looked. It wasn't until episode 4 or 5 that when I started to actually put the walls around it and build the stilts for the platform and things like that I really started to enjoy how that looked and appreciate what that process had done for me. And I had no idea that it would pay off in the way that it did, but I was very pleased with how that ended. And there are going to be times where I do something similar here, where I start building something, and even if I don't love it, I'm just going to leave it. And so feel free to leave comments when you see something like that, because I love hearing that, what your Satisfactory experience is like, and engaging with that back and forth in that community. I think this is where we're going to leave it for today. I'd like to thank you guys for taking a few minutes out of your day to spend with me here in the world of Satisfactory. In our next episode, we are going to get into steel production and dive into the dimensional depots. I can't wait to do that. I'm so excited. This is something I've been looking forward to ever since the teaser that talked about this stuff, and I can't wait. Thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. My name is Dakoba, and I hope you have an efficient day. I'll see you soon.